Okay. So, children, come to page number. This one is according to my book, page number 60 of your civics book. Rokia Sakawat Hussain and her dreams about Ladyland. Shaptorshi, that I don't know better. You will come to know about that very soon. You will come to know about that very soon. That I don't know. But I have said this one because it is helpful in each and every matter. If you read the chapter thoroughly, then whatever question is asked from that chapter, you will be able to answer all. It might be MCQ type or it might be written type, whatever. It doesn't matter. The main thing is that you have to read thoroughly the chapters. Rokia Sakat Hossain was born into a rich family who owned a lot of land. Though she knew how to read and write Urdu, she was stopped from learning Bangla and English. Underline this sentence. In those days, English was seen as a language that would expose girls to new ideas, which people thought were not correct for them. So, why the girls were not allowed to read English? Because people thought that English was where it is. Yes, English is such a language that would expose girls to new ideas, and the girls they must not express or they must not come up with new ideas. They must follow what is prevalent in the society, what is going on for centuries. They must follow them only. That also in a blind manner. They will never try to search out the reasons, the logic, the requirement for all the rules and regulations which are just bestowed upon them. So, for this reason, the girls they were not allowed to read English because they will get exposed to new ideas, and in that case, what will happen to this main or male dominated society? If the female they come to know or they start to express the new ideas, then automatically the male dominated society it will get some sort of shock. So that's why it was banned for the girls. So therefore it was mostly boys who were taught English. Rokia learned to read and write Bangla and English with the support of her elder brother and an elder sister. So at first she was stopped from learning Bangla and English, but later she learned Bangla and English with the support of her elder brother and an elder sister. She went on to become a writer. She wrote a remarkable story titled Sultana's Dream in 1905 to practice her English skills when she was merely 25 years old. So at the age of 25, she had started to write, and that also to know that how much she has become skillful in learning English and how much she is able to execute it, implement it. So where I was, I have missed the line. She went on to become a writer. She wrote a remarkable story titled Sultana's Dream in 1905 to practice her English skills when she was merely 25 years old. This story imagined a woman called Sultana who reaches a place called Ladyland. Now, what is Ladyland? How it looks? What are the conditions? What are the rules and regulations prevalent over there? Let's read. Ladyland is a place where women had the freedom to study, work, and create inventions like controlling rain from the clouds and flying air cars. So, see, the things which were not allowed or which were barred or which were banned for the girls or for the women. This Rokia, in her Ladyland, she wrote about those things, where in the Ladyland it is possible for the girls to read, write, and even to control, as it is written, control rain from the clouds, and they are efficient enough to fly air cars. In this Ladyland, the men had been sent into seclusion, their aggressive guns and other weapons of war defeated by the brain power of women. So the women, they are having a very unique power, and that is brain power. As Sultana travels in Ladyland with sister Shara, she awakes to realize that she was only dreaming. As you can see, Rokia Swakat Hossain was dreaming of women flying planes and cars even before girls were... Sorry children, I am suffering from this cold and cough. So, this was the way... So, where I was... As you can see, Rokia Swakat Hossain was dreaming of women flying planes and cars even before girls were being allowed to go to school. This was the way in which education and learning had changed Rokia's own life. She had just come out from that utopian world. Utopian means where it is said that the girls, they are having only this much as their duties. They must only do this, they must only do that, they are not supposed to do those things. That means all these barriers she had crossed. Rokia did not stop at getting education just for herself. Her education gave her the power not only to dream and write, but also to do more, to help other girls go to school and to build their own dreams. In 1910, she started a school for girls in Kolkata, and to this day, the school is still functioning. So, she has taken the initiative that not only she, but other girls like her, they will also get the chance to read and write. Hey, who is this one? Manish Kumar Ray. Turn off your front camera. Horrible boy. Okay. Now, schooling and education today. Today, both boys and girls attend school in large numbers. Yet, as we will see, there still remain differences between the education of boys and girls. India has a census every 10 years, which counts the whole population of the country. It also gathers detailed information about the people living in India, their age, schooling, what work they do, and so on. We use this information to measure many things like the number of literate people and the ratio of men and women. So according to this process, that means this census which is done by this Indian government every 10 years, we are able to know the number of literate people, then the ratio of men and women. According to the 1961 census, about 40% of all boys and men 7 years old and above were literate. That is, they could at least write their names, compared to just 15% of all girls and women. In the most recent census of 2001, these figures have grown to 76% for boys and men and 54% for girls and women. This means that the proportion of both men and women who are now able to read and have at least some amount of schooling has increased. But as you can also see, the percentage of male group is still higher than the female group, because still now in the remote villages we can find that the girls, they are not allowed to go to the school from their families only. They are not allowed, they are not given the chances, they are not given the facilities to read and write. Still it is happening in our country like India. Okay, is it the percentage? That means I have read up to census of 2001. In your book, my book is quite old one. Now your book is the latest edition. Now, can you get there any census after 2001? If yes, kindly let me know. Whether you are also having the same written in your book, or you have got the census after 2001. Kindly let me know. Hurry up. Hurry up, children. Achha, let me just continue reading, and if you get, you will let me know. The gap has not gone away. Here is a table that shows the percentage of girls and boys who leave schools from different social groups. Scheduled caste SC is the official term for Dalit, and scheduled tribe ST is the official term for Adivasi. So this chart you can see over here, but come to page number 61, this part I have missed. Unlike Rash Shundari Devi and Rokia Hossain, who were not allowed to learn to read and write, large number of girls attend school in India today. Yes, today the matter is somewhat still different. That means unlike Rokia and unlike Rash Shundari Devi, nowadays we can find that many girls they are attending school. Though the number is quite less, but still then. So India today, despite this, there continue to be many girls who leave school for reasons of poverty, inadequate schooling facilities, and discrimination. So these are the various reasons for which many girls they leave school. Hey, who is this one? Shampurna. Horrible. What you have sent there? How can I see the picture of the book you have sent? Not that one. I am asking whether in page number 62, in my book it is given the census up to 2001. Now in your book, is it same or you are having the latest census also? That I want to know. So as I was saying that many girls, they leave school because of the reasons like poverty, then inadequate schooling facilities, and because of discrimination. This one you underline, that many girls who leave school for reasons of poverty, inadequate schooling facilities, and discrimination. Providing equal schooling facilities. Yes, sir, 2011 census given. That's why I asked. Because I felt, might be, as my book is quite old one, I'm having 2001 and already 10 years over, more than 10 years over. So whether you are getting we are having the latest census or not. So providing equal schooling facilities to children from all communities and class backgrounds, and particularly girls, continues to be a challenge in India. India is still facing this challenge. Okay, you have probably noticed in the above table, the SC and ST girls leave school at a rate that is higher than the category all girls. This means that girls who are from Dalit and Adivasi backgrounds are less likely to remain in school. The 2001 census also found that Muslim girls are less likely than Dalit and Adivasi girls to complete primary school. While a Muslim girl is likely to stay in school for around 3 years, girls from other communities spend around 4 years in school. Is it the same what I am reading from my book, or even it is different? In my book it is written that the 2001 census, okay, same. So from 2001 census we have come to know that Muslim girls are less likely than Dalit and Adivasi girls to complete primary schools because they leave school at the age 3. Whereas girls from other communities spend around 4 years in school, and the Muslim girls, they likely to stay in school for around 3 years only. There are several reasons why children from Dalit, Adivasi and Muslim communities leave school. In many parts of the country, especially in rural and poor areas, okay. In many parts of the country, especially in rural and poor areas, there may not even be proper schools, not teachers who teach on a regular basis. If a school is not close to people's homes and there is no transport like buses or vans, parents may not be willing to send their girls to school, quite natural. If you are living, just consider it like this way, that you are living in this near around Ullash and your school is here, and you are not getting any transport facility, that means no bus, no van, nothing, and your family is not also having any personal transport system, then in that case the girls, how they will come to school? Such a long distance it is. The parents, they will definitely think about the safety for the girls and they will not send the girls to school. It's quite natural and normal. Many families are too poor and unable to bear the cost of educating all their children. Many families, you will find that there are more than 3 or 4 children. That means the family is quite a big one. So in that cases, the family members, they will only think about educating the boys instead of educating the girls. Boys may get preference in this situation. Many children also leave school because they are discriminated against by their teacher and classmates. If the teachers or the classmates, they continuously go on discriminating, that means they go on just making some sort of maintaining distance or humiliating or disturbing by saying that you belong to Adivasi group, you belong to some different community, then it is not possible to just confront or to tolerate every time this discrimination. And as a result, many people or many children who are quite sensitive, they stop going to school. They don't like to attend school anymore because they are not able to tolerate this humiliation anymore. Many children also leave school because they are discriminated against by their teacher and classmates, just like Om Prakash Valmiki was. So children, up to this we have completed, and in our next class we will continue reading from this women's movement. And again I am saying that kindly go through the chapters properly, thoroughly. The exercise question answers, I don't think that they are that much required now. It's better you read the chapters properly, thoroughly, because in that case it will not be, that means it will be quite possible for you to attend or to attempt the questions you will face during your exam. You will not feel any trouble or you will not suffer from any sort of panic at that time. Okay. So if you are having any query or doubt, you can ask me now.